Okay, let's continue on to chapter 8 and let's try to find a relation or an equation which tells us the temperature distribution inside for an internal flow. So for that we'll apply energy balance inside the pipe. So let's say this is our control volume. There will be heat coming into this control volume through convection, and let's say that heat is q double prime as p times dx, where p times dx is the surface area of that particular control volume. And let's say that uh, the fluid is coming in at a mass flow rate of m dot, and it's entering this control volume at a temperature Tm, and it exits the control volume at a temperature of Tm plus dTm, and the volume is of a thickness dx. So we'll apply energy balance because our because our we have steady state conditions and there's no heat generation. We will have q in equals to q out. Our q in is whatever's coming in from this direction plus the q coming in from the wall of the pipe. So m dot cp into tm is what's coming what's coming in from the flow plus dq convection equals to m dot cp into the temperature going out is tm plus dtm, and we see these two terms will cancel out, and we'll have dq convection equals to m dot cp into dtm, and this can be approximated for a small volume as q, and we can write our q convection as m dot into cp, where m dot is the flow rate of the fluid, times TOI minus TMI. That's the mean temperature of the fluid going out minus mean temperature of the fluid coming in. So this is a different way of writing the heat transfer rate due to convection. If you remember, initially we used Newton's law of cooling, and we had an h times a here. But if we see the dimensions or units for this, we have units of m dot as kg per second, and the units of m dot cp into t will be kg per second for m dot, a kelvin joule per kg, sorry, joule per kg kelvin for cp, and a kelvin for the temperature that's here. This will give us joules per second, which is nothing but watts. So we still have the units of watts for Q convection. So now the Q convection from the diagram given to us is Q double prime S, that's the constant heat flux at the wall, times the perimeter times dx, which is equal to m dot cp into dtm, which we just calculated here. And just rearranging a few terms, we can write dtm, take dx this side, take this term in the denominator here. So we get equation dtm by dx equals to q double prime s p divided by m dot cp. Now, what if we have constant heat flux? If we have constant heat flux, we can write our q convection as q double prime s times into P times L for the entire pipe. This means that our dTm by dx will not be a function of x, because we will have our dTm by dx equals to, sorry, because our dTm by dx is equal to q double prime P divided by m dot Cp, it's not a function of x. I will integrate this equation. So left hand side by Tm, right hand side by dx, we'll get a constant. And let's say that constant is Tmi, and plus we'll get a factor of x after integrating. So This is the temperature distribution or the equation for mean temperature variation with respect with x that we get. Our mean temperature variation will depend on the temperature of mass, uh, the temperature of fluid coming in, that's TMI, the heat flux, the perimeter of the pipe, the mass flow rate, and the specific heat capacity. So if you are asked to calculate a the mean temperature at a particular location, you'll just substitute the value of that particular location in meters and find the value. So moving on to our second boundary condition, which is what if we have a constant surface temperature. I'll just define a delta T, which is Ts minus Tm. That's the difference between the surface and the mean temperature, and you'll see why in a moment. So I can approximate my dt by dx as negative of delta t by dx, because our and I can write our mean temperature as delta t, which will give me p divided by m dot cp into h into delta t. Now you may ask, where did the how is this equal to this? So what I've done is that I've just differentiated this equation here. So if I want to find d of delta t, this will be, because we have a constant surface temperature, our differentiation of Ts will be 0. So 0 minus d Tm. So my dTm will just be negative of d of delta t. So that's why I have a negative sign here, and I've substituted and I've written dTm by dx equals to minus of d delta t by dx, and this will be equal to p times h into delta t. So the h into delta t here is the q double prime by convection. So in our previous problem, we had this equals to q double prime s, and that's because we had a constant heat flux. But if you have a constant surface temperature, our flux will be denoted by h times delta t, and the remaining portion will be the same. So integrating the left side with respect to delta t and the right side with respect to x, from and for the limits for the left hand side will be t delta t in and delta t out. So the temperature difference at inlet and the temperature difference at outlet, and we will integrate this from inlet to outlet, so 0 to L. So uh, this this integration here gives us a natural log of delta t at outlet upon delta t at inlet equals to minus PL times m dot Cp. I've just multiplied and divided length to this expression, and I've taken 1 upon L inside, and that's because we can write the integration of h dx divided by L as a average heat transfer coefficient. So this is the expression that I get on integrating it. So this expression tells me that the natural log of the temperature difference at inlet divided by the temperature difference at outlet is equal to minus perimeter times the length divided by m dot Cp into the average heat transfer coefficient. So remember this equation. This is an important equation that you will use in this chapter. Maybe not in this form, but in a different form, which we will look in a moment. So in our case, we just found out that in the previous slide that we can write Q convection as m dot Cp into TMO minus TMI. That's temperature, the mean temperature at outlet minus mean temperature at inlet. Now what I've done here is that I've added and subtracted Ts, and I've clubbed it with the outlet and inlet mean temperatures. And why I've done that is so that I get delta Ti and delta To here. So I can write my Q convection as m dot Cp into delta Ti, where my uh, delta Ti is equal to Tmi minus Ts, and similarly delta To will be Tmo minus Ts. This will give me the convection, or I can write the convective heat transfer that I've got, and I'll substitute the m dot Cp here from this equation right here. So from this equation I can write my m dot Cp as um, natural log of delta To divided by delta Ti whole divided by uh, oh, I'm sorry. So my m dot Cp will be minus PL into the average heat transfer coefficient divided by the natural log of delta To upon delta Ti. Okay, so I've substituted this here, and the equation that I got for convective heat transfer is this. So we have minus P into L, which is nothing but the surface area of the pipe times the average heat transfer coefficients multiplied by the temperature delta Ti, temperature difference at inlet minus temperature difference at outlet, divided by the logarithmic temperature differences. So as I said, that P into L is nothing but the surface area of the pipe. I can simply write this as H, that's the average heat transfer coefficient, times the surface area of the pipe times a logarithmic mean temperature difference. Now, what is this logarithmic mean temperature difference? It's nothing but the temperature difference at outlet minus temperature difference at inlet divided by log of temperature difference at outlet by temperature difference at inlet. So again, this is a very important formula to remember, the logarithmic mean temperature difference, because this is what we'll use when we have to find the heat flow rate or the heat transfer rate for internal convection. And if you are given overall heat transfer coefficient or an average heat transfer coefficient, and if you know the dimensions, you can simply calculate the logarithmic mean temperature and calculate the heat transfer rate. So this is an important formula here. So moving on, oh sorry about that. Just, just ignore the watt for this for a second. So we just calculated this formula here, and I can, as I said, that we use this formula in a different form. So I can write this formula as delta T O by delta Ti, which is nothing but Ts minus Tmo divided by Ts minus Tmi equals to exponent of minus this quantity right here. Okay, so this formula is true for if you know the length and the overall heat transfer coefficient for the entire length, and if you're asked one of these quantities right here. But what if you want to calculate the temperature at a particular location? So what if you're asked to calculate the mean temperature at a particular location in the pipe? So instead of having uh, our mean temperature at the outlet here, we'll just have the mean temperature at a particular location X. And if you If you just substitute x is equal to L, you will get Tm of x equals to Tmo. So this is the equation that we'll use to calculate the mean temperature at a given location in the pipe. So if you observe, our temperature difference is decaying exponentially. So that means if you have a long pipe, a really long pipe, your surface temperature will almost be equal to your mean temperature, the mean temperature of the fluid. So your fluid will almost be at the same temperature as your pipe. But what if in some cases what will happen is that you will be given an external fluid temperature, and instead of your surf pipe temperature being constant, you may it might be given that the external fluid temperature is fixed. So how will this formula here change in that scenario? So the only thing that will change is instead of T infinity, instead of the TS's, instead of the surface temperatures here, we'll have T infinities, which is the temperature of the external fluid. And instead of this expression here, instead of the Px times L or PL times H, we will have an overall heat transfer coefficient times the surface area of the pipe. Okay, so if you know the overall heat transfer coefficient, or if you know the thermal properties, you can calculate the total resistances. And you've already seen that if you can calculate the overall heat transfer coefficient by calculating the total resistance in the system, if you have enough information. And you will know how to calculate the surface area. And we just found out how to find out the logarithmic mean temperature. So again, U here is the overall heat transfer coefficient. So this is another way of finding out the heat transfer rate between, oh sorry, this is a way of finding out heat transfer rate between an external fluid and the fluid that is flowing inside a pipe. So here you won't, in this equation, you will not require any temperature information about the pipe itself. You will just require the temperature information about the external fluid and the internal fluid. So we will be using these equations in our example problems as well. And so make sure you know what are the small changes, and you read the problem statement carefully and use the proper equation.